The stars had always called to humanity. In the year 2157, they finally answered back. Captain Jake Wilson stood on the bridge of the Discovery, Earth's first faster-than-light ship. His crew had just completed their 5th test jump when the alarms started screaming. Something massive had appeared at the edge of the solar system. "Sir, you need to see this," Lieutenant Amy Foster said, her voice shaking. The main screen lit up with an image that made Jake's blood run cold. A ship, if it could even be called that, hung in space like a metal mountain. It was larger than any human structure, bristling with weapons that looked like they could crack planets. The scanner readings made no sense. The thing was impossible. "How big is it?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer would be bad. 25 kilometers long, sir. Energy output is, off the scale. Amy's hands trembled over her console. Before Jake could respond, every communication system on the Discovery activated at once. A deep, mechanical voice filled the bridge. "Inhabitants of the 3rd planet, this is Commander Thrax of the Zarkonian Empire. Your world now belongs to the Galactic Empire. Surrender immediately or face annihilation." Jake looked at his crew. They were all young, all brilliant, and all terrified. He took a deep breath and activated the emergency beacon to Earth. "This is Captain Wilson of the Earthship Discovery. We need to talk about this." The alien voice laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "There is nothing to discuss, Primitive. You have 1 rotation of your planet to submit. Our delegation will arrive at your capital to accept your surrender." The connection cut off. Jake turned to his navigation officer. "Get us back to Earth. Maximum speed." Back on Earth, President Lisa Morgan was having breakfast with her daughter when Secret Service agents burst into the room. "Madam President, we have a code black situation." Within minutes, Lisa found herself in the underground situation room, surrounded by generals, scientists, and advisors. The main screen showed the alien ship, a dark shadow against the stars. Defense Secretary Paul Roberts briefed her quickly. "They call themselves the Zarkonian Empire. They've demanded our surrender. We have 24 hours. Lisa studied the image. "How many ships?" "Just 1, but it's—" Paul paused, searching for words. "It's bigger than Manhattan. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Do we have any defenses?" General Betty Chen, head of Space Command, shook her head. "Nothing that could scratch that monster. Our entire fleet is maybe 50 ships, all smaller than their shuttle bays." Lisa stood up, her face hard. "Prepare for their arrival. Full diplomatic protocol. We'll hear what they have to say." The Zarkonian shuttle landed in Geneva 6 hours later. It was sleek and black, moving without visible engines. When the hatch opened, humanity got its first look at their would-be conquerors. Commander Thrax stood 3 meters tall, his body covered in thick gray scales. 4 arms ended in clawed hands, and his head was long and narrow like a crocodile's. Behind him marched a dozen warriors in black armor. Lisa met them in the Peace Hall, the same room where Earth's nations had signed the Unity Charter 50 years ago. She kept her face calm, though her heart pounded. "Commander Thrax," she said, offering her hand. The alien ignored it. "President Morgan, you will sign the surrender documents." He placed a metal tablet on the table. Strange symbols glowed on its surface. "First, tell us about your empire," Lisa said. "How many worlds do you control?" Thrax's lipless mouth stretched in what might have been a smile. 347 systems. All bow to the Emperor. Earth will be the 348th. Paul Roberts leaned forward. "And what happens to the people of these worlds?" "They serve. They provide resources, technology, and soldiers for our armies. Those who resist are eliminated." Thrax said it like discussing the weather. "I see." Lisa picked up the tablet, pretending to study it. "And if we refuse?" "Your cities will burn from orbit. We will take what we need from your ashes." Thrax's 4 eyes narrowed. "But that would be wasteful. Better to submit and live." Lisa set down the tablet. "We need time to consider this. Our planet has many nations, many leaders. They must all agree. Thrax laughed again. You have until tomorrow at this time. No delays, no negotiations. Submit or die. The aliens left as suddenly as they had come. Lisa waited until their shuttle disappeared into the sky before turning to her advisors. Paul, I want everything we have ready to fight, everything. Madam President, you saw their ship, we can't possibly. We've faced impossible odds before. Lisa cut him off. Humanity didn't crawl out of the caves to kneel before tyrants. Doctor. Carl Martinez, the chief science advisor, cleared his throat. There might be another option, something we've kept very quiet. Everyone turned to look at him. Go on, Lisa said. For the past 50 years, we haven't just been building ships. We've been preparing for this exact moment, the Prometheus Protocol. Paul. Roberts went pale. That's just a theory. We've never tested, then we test it now, Lisa said firmly. How long do you need? The systems are already in place, hidden but ready. Give me 12 hours. Lisa nodded. Do it. And Carl? Whatever happens tomorrow, make sure they remember that Earth doesn't kneel. Above Earth, the Imperator's Pride waited like a vulture. On its bridge, Commander Thrax reviewed the scans of the blue planet below. Primitive technology, scattered defenses, divided leadership, he reported to his second-in-command. They'll surrender. They always do. And if they don't? Thrax gestured to the weapon controls. Then we make an example of them. The next world will be more cooperative, but in hidden bunkers beneath Earth's surface, in secret bases on the Moon, in camouflaged facilities on Mars, humanity was waking up systems that had waited decades for this moment. The Zarkonians thought they were dealing with a young, weak species. They were about to learn how wrong they were. As night fell over Geneva, Lisa Morgan stood at her window, looking up at the stars. Somewhere up there, an empire waited for Earth's answer. They have no idea what they just started, she whispered to herself. The countdown had begun. In 24 hours, everything would change. The night passed slowly across Earth as billions of people looked up at the sky, knowing an alien warship hung above them. Most had no idea what was happening. Governments kept the truth quiet to avoid panic, but rumors spread quickly. 5 kilometers. Beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Sam Cooper watched a wall of screens showing military bases around the world, going to full alert. He hadn't slept in 20 hours, but adrenaline kept him sharp. Status report, he barked. His second-in-command, Major Kelly Wright, stepped forward. Lunar Base Alpha is online. Mars defense platform is at 100%. Asteroid belt batteries are charging. We're ready, sir. Sam nodded, his weathered face tight with tension. For 50 years, humanity had kept their real military power hidden. While civilian space programs built small ships and stations, the world's militaries worked together in secret, preparing for this exact moment. And the quantum torpedoes? Dr. Park reports they're ready for loading. Sam turned as the door opened. President Lisa Morgan walked in, followed by Defense Secretary Paul Roberts. Madam President, Sam said with a nod. We're ready to show our hand. Lisa looked at the massive control room filled with officers from every nation on Earth. Tell me again why we'll win this. A woman in a lab coat stepped forward. Dr. Helen Park was the lead scientist of Project Prometheus, the most secret program in human history. 3 reasons, Madam President, Helen said. First, we've been building our fleet for 50 years. The Artemis program, the Mars colonies, the asteroid mining, those were just covers for our real work. She pointed to a screen showing the dark side of the Moon. There are 5,000 warships hidden in lunar craters alone. Another 3,000 on Mars. 800 defense platforms in the asteroid belt. Second, she continued, our quantum disruptor torpedoes. They bypass any known shielding by shifting partially out of normal space. One hit will cripple even that monster ship up there. And third, Helen smiled. They have no idea we exist. Our cloaking technology is based on principles we discovered that the rest of the galaxy apparently missed. Our ships are nearly impossible to target with their weapon systems. Lisa looked skeptical. How can you be sure? Because we've been studying them for years, Sam cut in. The early UFO sightings, the strange signals, We've known aliens were out there. We captured their scout ships, studied their tech. We've been ready for decades. Paul Roberts still looked doubtful. If they have hundreds of worlds, they must have thousands of ships like that one. Yes, Helen agreed. But they're spread across a galaxy. We have a chance to bloody their nose so badly they'll think twice about coming back. Lisa took a deep breath. What about Captain Wilson on the Discovery? He volunteered for a mission, Sam said quietly. He's boarding their ship right now. Jake, Wilson floated in space, his stealth suit making him invisible to sensors. The surface of the Imperator's Pride stretched before him like a metal landscape. His mouth was dry, his heart pounding, but his hands were steady as they gripped his tools. Airlock located, he whispered into his comm. Beginning entry procedure. The alien ship's security was impressive, but Earth hackers had been preparing for this. Jake's neural implant connected to the ship's computer, releasing a virus that made the airlock think it was performing a routine cycle. Once inside, Jake moved quickly through massive corridors. The aliens were everywhere, tall, scaled beings with 4 arms and cold eyes. He kept to the shadows, his suit adapting to match the background. It took him 3 hours to reach the central database. He found an access point and connected his implant again. I'm in, he reported. Downloading now. What he found shocked him. The Zarkonian Empire was vast, but it was also crumbling. Rebellions on 20 worlds, supply shortages, military stretched thin. They were desperate for new resources to maintain control. Even more surprising, Earth wasn't chosen at random. The Zarkonians had detected the Discovery's test jumps and rushed to claim Earth before humanity could become a threat. They're afraid of us, Jake realized. They know what humans can become. As he downloaded the last files, an alarm suddenly blared. Something had detected him. Jake disconnected and ran, guards charging after him. He needed to get off the ship before a deep voice echoed through the corridors. Human intruder detected in Sector 7. All units converge. Jake cursed and changed direction. His escape route was cut off. He needed a new plan. Back on Earth, Lisa Morgan stood before the Emergency Council of Nations. Representatives from every country watched as she explained the situation and their options. We can surrender and become slaves, she said bluntly, or we can fight. The French representative stood. If we fight and lose, they will destroy our planet. If we surrender, we lose everything that makes us human, Lisa replied. Freedom, dignity, the right to choose our future. The room fell, silent. We have hidden our strength for half a century, Lisa continued. We built in secret while showing them a facade of weakness. Now we must decide if we use what we've created. The vote took less than 5 minutes. Every nation chose to fight. Lisa nodded to Sam Cooper, who opened a secure line to all military commands. Operation Dawn is a go. I repeat, Operation Dawn is a go. All units deploy. In space, hidden doors on the moon's surface slid open. Massive ships rose from concealed hangars, their engines glowing blue against the blackness. On Mars, camouflage. Fields dropped, revealing shipyards that stretched across entire canyons. Throughout the asteroid belt, weapon platforms powered up, their targeting systems locking onto the single Zarkonian ship. Aboard the Imperator's Pride, Commander Thrax received an urgent message from his sensors officer. Sir, we're detecting energy signatures, thousands of them. Impossible, Thrax snarled. Their technology can't. The view screen showed the impossible. A fleet of human warships surrounding his dreadnought in a perfect sphere. Some were nearly half the size of his own vessel. All had weapons aimed at him. Where did they come from? He roared. How did they hide this? Before his officer could answer, every communication channel activated at once. President Lisa Morgan's face appeared on the screen. Commander Thrax, she said calmly, it's time for our answer. In the command bunker, Lisa straightened her jacket and looked directly into the camera. Earth's hidden fleets were in position. The quantum torpedoes were ready. And if the information Jake Wilson had stolen was correct, the Zarkonians were already unsure of their position. 24 hours, she said to her advisors, just like they asked. On screen, Thrax's alien face showed confusion, turning to anger, as he realized what was happening. Your time is up, Commander, Lisa said. Now it's our turn to talk. President Lisa Morgan stood tall before the camera. The entire world watched her, along with one very surprised alien commander. The moment had come for humanity to speak not just for Earth, but for their future among the stars. Commander Thrax, of the Zarkonian Empire, Lisa began, her voice steady and clear. I stand before you as the voice of Earth. We have considered your offer of surrender. On the screen, Thrax's scaled face showed a mix of confusion and growing anger as he stared at the fleet surrounding his ship. Our answer is no. Lisa's words were simple but firm. Furthermore, by the authority granted to me by the United Nations of Earth, I hereby declare our entire solar system to be sovereign territory. No Galactic Empire ships are allowed within our borders. A shocked silence filled both rooms. The command bunker, General Sam Cooper, allowed himself a small smile. On the Zarkonian ship, Thrax's four eyes widened in disbelief. Then the alien commander laughed, a harsh sound that crackled through the speakers. You primitives dare to make demands. One ship was enough to make you cower. The Empire has thousands. We are not making demands, Lisa replied calmly. We are stating facts. This solar system belongs to humanity. Your ship is trespassing. Thrax's laughter stopped. His clawed hand slammed down on his control panel. Enough of this. You had your chance. Now watch as your pathetic world burns. The massive Zarkonian ship's weapons began to glow. Energy built up in what looked like a giant cannon on its underside, aimed directly at Earth. In the command bunker, Dr. Helen Park monitored her screens closely. They're charging their main weapon, planetary destroyer class. Will the shield hold? Lisa asked, not taking her eyes off the camera. It better, Helen replied. We've only tested it at 60% capacity. Sam Cooper stepped forward. All ships hold position. Do not fire until my command. On screens around the world, people watched as the alien weapon fired. A blinding beam of energy shot toward Earth. For a terrible moment, everything went white on the monitors. Then the view cleared. A shimmering blue field surrounded the planet, absorbing and dispersing the energy of the attack. Earth remained untouched. In the command center, cheers erupted. Helen's face broke into a relieved smile. Shield holding at 82% capacity. It worked. Lisa looked back at the camera, where Thrax stared in stunned silence. As you can see, Commander, we were prepared for your visit. Now it's our turn. She nodded to Sam, who spoke into his comm. All ships, weapons free. Operation Dawn is go. From the hidden bases on the Moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt, thousands of missiles launched simultaneously. They looked like stars, moving against the blackness of space as they streaked toward the Imperator's pride. On his ship, Thrax recovered from his shock and barked orders. Raise all shields, prepare for impact. The Zarkonian shields glowed as they activated, creating a bubble around the massive dreadnought. Under normal circumstances, they could withstand bombardment for days. But these weren't normal missiles. Dr. Helen Park watched her monitor with intense focus. Quantum torpedoes functioning correctly. Phase shift in 3, 2, 1. Just before impact, the human missiles shimmered and seemed to partially disappear. When they struck the Zarkonian shields, they didn't explode against them, they passed through them, becoming solid again only when they reached the hull. Explosions blossomed across the surface of the alien ship. Thrax's bridge shook violently, throwing crew members to the floor. Impossible, he roared. How did they penetrate our shields? His weapons officer looked up in panic. Sir, we've lost 40% of our weapon systems. Hull breaches on 3 decks. While the torpedoes struck, smaller human ships swarmed around the dreadnought. They moved with incredible speed and precision, targeting weapon emplacements and sensor arrays. Among them was the Discovery, now returned from Earth with a full weapons loadout. Captain Jake Wilson, having escaped the alien ship just in time, commanded his vessel with grim determination. Target their engine control systems, he ordered. Let's make sure they can't run away. The Discovery fired precision beams that cut through the weakened sections of the Zarkonian ship. Other human vessels joined in, their coordinated attack, overwhelming the alien defenses. On his damaged bridge, Thrax made a decision. Prepare for emergency jump, we must report this to the Emperor. Sir, his navigation officer replied, voice shaking. Our FTL drives are offline. We're surrounded. There's nowhere to go. For the first time in his long career of conquest, Thrax felt fear. He opened the communication channel again. This is not over, he growled at Lisa Morgan. You have no idea what forces you have awakened. The Empire will send 100 ships to crush you. Lisa's expression remained calm. Then we'll destroy 100 ships. And if necessary, we'll destroy 1,000 more. But this solar system remains free. She leaned forward slightly. You have one chance, Commander. Surrender your vessel and your crew will be treated fairly. Continue to fight, and we will be forced to demonstrate just how serious we are about our declaration. Sam Cooper moved next to her, his face hard. Your ship is crippled, your shields are failing, and our next salvo won't be as gentle as the first. Thrax's 4 hands clenched into fists. Zarkonians do not surrender to primitives. Then you leave us no choice, Lisa said sadly. She nodded to Sam again. He pressed a button on his console, and a single signal went out to all Earth forces. All ships execute final phase. Disable that vessel. From the moon bases, a new wave of weapons launched. These were not the quantum torpedoes, but specialized EMP devices designed to shut down alien technology without destroying it completely. As they approached the Imperator's Pride, Jake Wilson led a squadron of smaller ships in close. All units, target their remaining weapons first, then engines. We want them helpless, not destroyed. The battle that followed was brief, but intense. Human ships darted around the massive dreadnought like angry bees, striking with surgical precision. The Zarkonians fought back fiercely, but their damaged systems and surprise at human capabilities left them at a severe disadvantage. Within 20 minutes, the once mighty Imperator's Pride floated powerless in space, its weapons silenced, its engines dead. In the command bunker, Lisa watched the final moments of the battle with mixed emotions. They had won their first encounter with the galaxy, but she knew it wouldn't be the last. Begin broadcasting the battle footage, she ordered, to every frequency the Zarkonians use. I want the entire galaxy to see what happened here today. As communications officers rushed to comply, Lisa turned to Paul Roberts. This is just the beginning. The hard part comes next. Dealing with the prisoners? He asked. She shook her head. Dealing with the rest of the galaxy. Today, humanity announced its presence in a way no one can ignore. On screens throughout Earth, people watched as human ships surrounded the defeated alien vessel. A new era had begun with a simple but powerful message. Earth stood free, and the stars would have to adjust to that reality. The Imperator's Pride hung in space like a wounded beast. Once the mightiest warship in this sector of the galaxy, it now drifted powerless, surrounded by the ships of a world it had come to conquer. Earth vessels moved around it, some attaching, towing cables, others keeping weapons locked on its critical systems. Captain Jake Wilson guided the Discovery alongside the alien dreadnought. From his command chair, he watched as teams of specially trained soldiers boarded the Zarkonian ship. Be careful in there, he said over the comm. We want prisoners, not casualties. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Amy Foster, studied the sensor readings. Sir, we're detecting unusual activity in their engineering section. Energy readings are fluctuating. Jake frowned. They wouldn't try to self-destruct with their own people still aboard, would they? Given what he'd learned about the Zarkonians, during his infiltration mission, he wasn't so sure. He opened a channel to command. General Cooper, we might have a situation here. Sam Cooper's voice came back immediately. What kind of situation, Captain? Possible self-destruct sequence. Request permission to lead a team to their engineering section. There was a brief pause before Sam replied. Permission granted. But, be quick about it. If that ship blows, it could take half our fleet with it. Jake nodded to Amy. You have the bridge. I'm going in. 20 minutes later, Jake floated through the alien ship's massive engineering room. His team moved carefully, around strange machines twice their height. The Zarkonian crew had been secured, but one look at the main reactor told Jake they were too late. The core is destabilizing, said Sergeant Frank Martinez, the team's engineer. They've locked out the controls. We can't stop it. Jake studied the pulsing blue light at the center of the room. How long do we have? 30 minutes, maybe less. Jake tapped his comm. General Cooper, we have a problem. The ship is going to explode and we can't stop it. Recommend immediate evacuation of all boarding teams and maximum safe distance for our fleet. Back in the command bunker, Sam turned to President Morgan. Madam President, we need to pull back. Lisa looked troubled. If that ship explodes, the Zarkonians will claim we destroyed it after they surrendered. It will hurt our standing with any potential allies. Dr. Helen Park, who had been quietly working at a console, looked up suddenly. Wait, the quantum technology we developed for our torpedoes. We might be able to adapt it to contain the explosion. Explain, Sam demanded. We can create a phase-shifted bubble around the ship. When the reactor explodes, most of the energy will be shifted into another dimension. It won't completely eliminate the explosion, but it will reduce it to manageable levels. Can you set it up in time? Helen nodded. The lunar base has a prototype. We can have it in position in 20 minutes. Lisa didn't hesitate. Do it. As human ships withdrew to a safe distance, a single vessel approached the Imperator's Pride. It was unlike the other ships, small, with no visible weapons, but surrounded by a strange, rippling field. It positioned itself directly above the alien dreadnought and began to generate an expanding field of energy that soon enveloped the entire Zarkonian ship. Jake and his team were the last to evacuate, pushing a group of reluctant Zarkonian engineers ahead of them. As they cleared the airlock, Jake looked back at the ship that had brought such terror to Earth just hours ago. What a waste, he muttered. The explosion, when it came, was nothing like what anyone expected. Instead of a massive fireball, there was a strange implosion, followed by a ripple of blue-white energy that spread out in a perfect sphere. The Imperator's Pride seemed to fold in on itself, becoming smaller and smaller until it vanished completely. In its place floated fragments of metal and debris, barely enough to fill a small cargo ship. On the Discovery's bridge, Amy stared at the sensors in amazement. The mass readings, most of the ship's matter is just gone. Jake settled back into his command chair. Where did it go? Somewhere else, came Helen Park's voice over the comm. Somewhere very far away. The important thing is it worked. News of the victory spread across Earth like wildfire. People poured into streets and town squares, celebrating and looking up at the sky with new eyes. For the first time, humans knew they weren't alone in the universe, and they knew they could defend themselves. But in the command bunker, the mood was more measured. Lisa Morgan met with her advisors to discuss what came next. The Zarkonians will report back to their empire, Paul Roberts warned. We should expect retaliation. Let them come, Sam said firmly. We've proven we can defend ourselves. Dr. Park shook her head. One ship is not a fleet. We won a battle, not a war. Lisa studied the reports from the captured Zarkonian officers. Jake Wilson's mission had provided valuable intelligence, but the interrogations were revealing even more. According to Commander Thrax, she said, the Empire has been struggling to maintain control of its territory. That's why they came here so quickly when they detected our FTL tests. They're afraid of new powers emerging, so they're not as strong as they claim, Sam noted. Not as strong, but still dangerous. Lisa turned to a new face in the room, Ambassador Ellen Davis. Ellen was Earth's most skilled diplomat, with a gift for understanding other cultures. What are our options? Lisa asked her. Ellen considered for a moment. From what we've learned about the Empire's structure, many of their subject worlds are held by fear alone. If they saw Earth stand up to the Zarkonians and win, they might be inspired to do the same, Lisa finished. A chain reaction of rebellions. It's a risk, Paul warned. We'd be making ourselves the Empire's primary enemy. Jake Wilson, who had just arrived from space, joined the conversation. With respect, sir, we already are. The question is whether we fight alone or with allies. Lisa made her decision. Ellen, prepare a message to send to every world in the Empire. Show them what happened here. Offer Earth's friendship and protection to any who wish to be free. And the Zarkonian prisoners? Sam asked. Treat them well, Lisa said firmly. Show them that humans are not the monsters they were told we are. Perhaps some will take that message back with them. As the meeting broke up, Jake approached Dr. Park. That was impressive technology you used today. I've never seen anything like it. Helen smiled. That's the funny thing about humans. While other species were spreading across the stars, we stayed home and kept innovating. The Zarkonians developed FTL travel 10,000 years ago, then barely improved it. We developed it yesterday and are already finding new applications. You think that's our advantage? That we're new to this? I think our advantage is that we never stopped wondering what else we could do, Helen replied. Never stopped asking questions. The galaxy got comfortable. We're still hungry. Outside the command bunker, night had fallen across North America. People stood in yards and on rooftops looking up at the stars with a new awareness. Those distant lights were no longer just beautiful mysteries. They were places, worlds, civilizations, and humanity had just announced its presence to all of them. 6 months after Earth's victory over the Imperator's pride, the galaxy looked very different. Ambassador Ellen Davis stood on the observation deck of the Discovery, now upgraded and serving as Earth's first diplomatic vessel. Before her stretched the massive space station where the newly formed Galactic Council was meeting for the first time. Quite a view, said Captain Jake Wilson, joining her at the window. Ellen nodded. 27 worlds represented, all former Empire subjects. The message Earth had broadcast, showing their defeat of the Zarkonian ship and offering protection to any world that wanted freedom, had spread faster than anyone expected. The first response came just 3 days later, from a planet called Nexus. Then came others. Talaris, Bendar Prime, Luyten's Star. Worlds that had suffered under the Empire for centuries saw hope in Earth's stand. The Zarkonians have pulled back to their home systems, Jake said. Our intelligence says they lost control of almost a third of their territory. They'll regroup eventually, Ellen warned. This isn't over. No, Jake agreed. But we've changed the rules of the game. Inside the council chamber, President Lisa Morgan addressed the gathered representatives. Some looked almost human. Others were wildly different. Crystalline beings, creatures made of living gas, entities that seemed more plant than animal. Yet all shared one thing. They had chosen freedom over empire rule. Earth doesn't seek to replace one empire with another, Lisa told them. We believe each world has the right to govern itself. What we propose is an alliance, worlds standing together against those who would conquer us. A representative from Talaris stood. My people were slaves for 3,000 years. How do we know humans will be different from the Zarkonians? Lisa smiled. A fair question. That's why this council will make decisions together, with each world having one vote, including Earth. No single planet will control the others. The idea was revolutionary in a galaxy used to rule by force. Many representatives looked shocked, others excited by the concept. Back on Earth, Dr. Helen Park and General Sam Cooper watched the meeting via secure transmission. They stood in a new facility built specifically for galactic defense planning. There, signing the treaty, Sam noted as the council members began pressing their marks on the alliance document. So far, so good, Helen said cautiously. But we still have a lot of work to do. She pointed to a holographic display showing the edge of the solar system. There, massive new defense platforms were being constructed, advanced versions of the weapons that had helped defeat the Imperator's pride. The warning beacons are ready for activation, she told Sam. Once they're in place, any ship entering our system will receive the message automatically. And if they ignore the warning? Helen's expression hardened. Then they'll learn why the Empire now fears us. At the very edge of the solar system, Earth ships placed the beacons at strategic points. Each was designed to broadcast a simple message in every known language. Attention, you are approaching the sovereign territory of Earth. Peaceful visitors are welcome. Imperial warships will be fired upon without further warning. Earth stands free. As the final beacon was activated, its message rippled outward into the darkness between stars. On thousands of worlds, communication systems picked up the broadcast. In the halls of the Zarkonian Empire, rulers who had never known defeat listened with growing anger and fear. But on Earth, children looked up at the night sky with wonder rather than fear. In schools across the planet, teachers added new lessons about alien civilizations and galactic politics. Defense forces trained with new technologies developed from what they had learned from their brief encounter with the Empire. Earth had changed forever. Humanity had taken its first real steps into a larger universe, not as conquerors or subjects, but as defenders of freedom. In her office in Geneva, President Lisa Morgan looked at a small display showing the galaxy, with Earth marked as a tiny blue dot. "We're just getting started," she said softly to herself, thinking of all that lay ahead, challenges and wonders beyond imagination. On her desk sat a simple plaque, a gift from Captain Wilson. It bore the words that had now become famous throughout known space: Earth's declaration, "No galactic empire ships allowed."